Hi, it's John Vu, and today's lesson is on We Will Rock You by Queen from the Trinity College London Initial Drums Rock and Pop syllabus. So this is a massively iconic song by Queen, and it was released on that album News of the World in 1977. So if we look at the sheet music, in the top left of the page we've got the song title We Will Rock You, and underneath that we've got verse written in a box, and then beneath that you've got rock, so that's the style of the piece, just letting you know that it's a rock piece. And then you've got a crotchet equals 80, so that's the tempo of the piece, that's how fast or slow you're playing the piece. So in this case it's 80 beats per minute, and a crotchet is a beat. Alright, so that's what that part's telling you. And then after that you've got 2 bars counting, so that's just letting you know that when you play this with the backing track you'll hear a 2-bar counting. Now a counting isn't just like a countdown to start playing, it's giving you information as well, right? So it's letting you know the tempo of the piece. So when you listen to that counting for 2 bars, you've got to internalize the feel of that so you can feel the tempo. So when you start playing, you come in at the right tempo, okay? And it's the same for the rest of the band. So when you play in a band or a group of musicians, you need a count in because everyone needs to know what the tempo is, so everyone starts playing at the same tempo, okay? Otherwise it'll sound like a big mess. So really listen to that count in, and you'll hear a 2-bar count in. So the first bar will be minims, and then the second bar will be crotchets. So you'll hear like 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's counted 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's just letting you know you've got 2 bars of counting. So underneath that we've got our first bar of music. So we've got in the first bar we've got our clef, our percussion clef, just letting us know that it's drum or percussion notation. And next to that we've got our time signature. So we've got 4, 4. So the top number is 4, telling you there's 4 beats in the bar. So we just count up to 4 for each bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the bottom number is also 4, letting you know that a beat is a crotchet or a quarter note. Okay, so a quarter note lasts 1 beat. Right, then we've got our first set of notes. So that verse written in a box above the bar, just letting you know the first section is the verse. That's what we're playing initially. So if we look at the notes, we've got 2 rhythms as it's a groove. So very common with grooves to have 2 rhythms. So the top rhythm, we've got a crotchet rest, a crotchet rest, and then a crotchet note again. All right, so remember crotchet is the same as a quarter note. So we're playing these crotchets on the snare. So basically for the top rhythm, we're playing a snare on the 2 and the 4. So we're resting on the 1, playing on the 2, resting on the 3, playing on the 4. Okay, and we're going to play that with our left hand. And then the second rhythm, the bottom rhythm, we've got 2 quavers, which are the same as 8th notes on the bass drum. So you've got 1 and, then we've got a crotchet rest. So we don't play the bass drum on the 2. And then we play 3 ands. We've got 2 more quavers on the 3 on the bass drum, and then we've got a crotchet rest on the 4. So putting those 2 rhythms together, you've got 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and you're playing bass, bass, snare, bass, bass, snare. And I'm sure you know that groove because it's one of the most iconic drum grooves. Everyone kind of learns this groove as one of their first drum grooves. Alright, so underneath the bar as well, you've got F, which is the dynamic you play this groove in. And that is short for forte, which means loud. So you've really got to hit this loud. So this is like a stadium groove. Imagine you're playing at Wembley Stadium and you're just really thumping through this groove so the whole stadium is bouncing to it. Yeah, so obviously everyone claps their hands to this groove. So it's got to be really powerful. So we're going to try just to get this groove down, to get used to playing this groove. Remember, kick, kick, left. That's what you want to play it as. And we'll play it 4 times through. So 4 bars of the groove. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 4 times. Let's try that with a metronome at the song tempo, which is 80 beats per minute. So looking at the sheet music again, so we just played that first bar. So if we look at the second bar, we've got a 1 bar repeat symbol. Okay, so we're just repeating that first bar. And also in the third and fourth bar, you've got 1 bar repeats as well. So that top line is just playing that first bar, our groove, 4 times. So we're playing it for 4 bars. And as you can see in that fourth bar, above the 1 bar repeat symbol, you've got a little 4 written in brackets. So that's just letting you know it's the 4th time through of playing that groove. So this is helpful because obviously we feel like four bars, phrases, naturally. So we'll be playing that groove and we'd naturally feel that 4th bar. So we'd know we're in the 4th bar, and that little 4 just kind of lets you know that's where you are when you feel that 4th bar. So it's just a bit easier than playing the groove and then just reading a 1 bar repeat, then reading the next 1 bar repeat. So you're going like, play the groove, then I repeat it, then I repeat it, then I repeat it again. Because if there's quite a few 1 bar repeat symbols, you might kind of get lost and you'd be like, where am I? So that 4 just lets you know when you feel that 4th bar, that's where you are. Okay, so it's really helpful. And then we've got that double bar line at the end of the first line. So that's just letting you know the music's changing. So if you look at line 2, we've got we will rock you written. So that's just the lyrics letting you know that's where we are in the song. So again, it's just a little bit of guidance for you. So when you hear those lyrics, you know that's where you are. So we've got another 1 bar repeat there. So the music's changing, but the drum groove isn't. So we're just keeping that drum groove going, and we're still in forte, and you've just got 1 bar repeats for the whole of that line. So we've got another 4 bars of that same groove. And if you look again, at the end of the line, we've got an 8 written. So that's just to help you know that's where the 8th bar of the groove is. So again, you'll feel that 4th bar, and this time it's the second 4th bar. So you'll know, okay, that's where I am. I'm on the 8th bar of playing the groove. And again, you've got a double bar line at the end of that line. So if we go into line 3, you've got a slight change. So this time, the top rhythm, we're going to introduce quavers on the 1 and the 3. So they're going to be played on the floor tom. So as you can see, they're on the floor tom line. And they're going to be played at the same time as the bass drum. So it's the same groove, but now you're just thickening it up a little bit, but adding some floor tom with it as well. So you've got floor and bass twice. So 1 and, so there's 1 and then you're still hitting your snare on 2, and you've got 3 and 4. Okay, so the floor tom is just joining in with the bass drum for this groove. So let's try getting hold of that groove now, and we'll try it for 4 bars. So looking at line 3, you've got 1 bar repeat after that bar of groove, okay? So you've got 3 bars of 1 bar repeat, so you're playing that groove 4 times. So again, you can see you've got that little 4 written above the 4th bar of that line, just letting you know you're on the 4th bar of the groove. So if we go into line 4, so again, we've got we will rock you, just letting you know that's where we are in the song, that's the lyrics. We've got another 3 1 bar repeats, so you're still playing that groove with the floor tom, the bass drum and the snare. You play that for 3 bars, and then we've got a fill on the 4th bar of line 4. Okay, so if we look at that, we've got a top rhythm where we're just playing a crotchet on the crash. So you see how the X has got the ledger line through it, just letting you know that's a crash symbol, and the little tie there, the little loopy line, just letting you know you let that ring. Alright, then underneath you've got the second rhythm, we've got a crotchet on the bass drum that plays with the crash. Then you've got a crotchet rest, so we don't play anything on 2. And then we've got quavers on the 3, so you've got 3 and that's on the snare drum. And then you've got semi-quavers on the 4, so you've got 40 and which is also on the snare drum. So you've got crash and bass on the 1, rest on 2, 3 and on the snare, and then 40 and on the snare. So just give that feel a go. So just that whole bar, but we'll play it 4 times through with the metronome. And then after that fill, you can see the double bar line again, which tells you there's going to be another musical change as we go on. And looking beneath that line, you've got guitar solo. So it's a different section of the song now. See guitar solo written in the box. So what we're going to try now is we're going to try the whole verse. So we've got those top 4 lines that we can play individually. Now we've got to tie them all together, all right? So we're going to try the whole verse in time with the metronome first of all. So we want to get that really strong forte groove. And then obviously we've got that for 2 lines, that first groove. Coming into line 3, you bring in your floor tom to play with the bass drum. And we play that for 4 bars, and then another 3 bars for line 4, and then we've got our fill to finish the verse, all right? So let's try all of that in time with the metronome. And now we're going to play the verse with the backing track. Okay, so remember you'll hear a 2-bar count-in. You'll hear 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that's going to set the tempo for you. So make sure you really feel that count-in so you can feel the tempo. So when you come in, you play at the right tempo, okay? And come in strong with the grooves. Remember, you're playing forte, and it's a really iconic big groove. So it's really important for this song. So you've got to make sure you play it with some energy, right? Really give it some when you play it. So you got that first groove with the bass drum and snare. You're playing that for the first 2 lines. You've got 8 bars of that groove. And then remember in line 3, you're bringing that floor tom to play with the bass drum. So make sure that's a nice fluid change. All right, so you get some nice fluidity with that change so it doesn't disrupt the rhythm. So make sure that rhythm's really consistent as you play it and also stays consistent when you're bringing that floor tom. And then remember when we come into line 4, you're carrying on with that groove that includes the floor tom, and you finish line 4 with the fill. All right, so let's try that whole verse in time with the backing track.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise playing in the street. Gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face, you big disgrace. Kicking your can all over the place, singing, we will rock you. We will rock you. Buddy, you're a young man, hard man, shouting in the street. Gonna take on the world someday. You got blood on your face, you big disgrace. Waving your banner all over the place. We will rock you. Sing it. We will rock you. All right.
Right, then we come into the guitar solo at line 5. So we've got a new groove here, but the bottom groove, the second rhythm, is the same as what we've been playing, which is the 1 and 2, 3 and 4, okay, between the bass drum and snare. So you got bass, bass, snare, bass, bass, snare. So we've still got that, but above it we've got quavers on the hi-hat, okay? So we've got this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, so let's just give that groove a go in time with the metronome. 4 times through. And then at the end of that line, we've got a little change up. So again, you're keeping the same thing on the bass and snare. You still got that 1 and 2, 3 and 4, bass, bass, snare, bass, bass, snare. But now you've got quavers on the hi-hat with the bass drum. So you've got bass drum and hi-hat, bass drum and hi-hat. Then when you play that snare, we're playing a crotchet on the crash with it. Okay, so you've got crash and snare, and you've got to hold that for a crotchet. So you'll get this 1 and 2. All right, make sure you hold that 2 all the way to the 3, and then the 3 and the 4 are the same as the 1 and the 2. All right, so you got 1 and 2, 3 and 4. All right, so quavers, crotchet, quavers, crotchet. So hold that crotchet for a whole beat, remember? All right, so we'll try that bar 4 times through with a metronome. And now we'll try that whole line, okay? So the first line of the guitar solo, which is line 5, all right? So from bar 17, so we're going to try that groove. We've got 3 bars of that groove. You can see we've got 1 bar repeats there on bars 2 and 3. So you play the groove, repeat it again, and then you've got that little change up where we crash for a crotchet on the 2 and the 4. So let's try that line in time with a metronome. And then we come into the final line of the piece. So as you can see, you've got the same groove that you were playing in the bar above in the guitar solo. So you still got that 1 and 2, 3 and 4, bass, bass, snare, bass, bass, snare with the quavers on the hi-hat. But then if you look at bar 2 on the last line, we've got that slight change where we're playing that crotchet crash again, but this time only on the 4. Okay, so you've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So hit that crotchet with the crash at the same time as the snare, right? So just on the 4 this time. So let's just give that second bar a go 4 times through with the metronome to get used to just crashing on the 4 for a crotchet. So now we'll try putting that bar together with the first bar of that line, okay? So we're going to try the first 2 bars of the bottom line. So you've got the normal guitar solo groove, and then you've got the slight change where we're playing the crash as a quarter note on the 4. So we'll just try those first 2 bars of the bottom line, and we'll play them 4 times through with the metronome. And then if we look at bar 3 of the last line, it's the same groove, so that the normal groove for the guitar solo part, and then the last bar we've got a little change again. So remember, you know that's the last bar because we've got that final bar line there. All right, just letting you know it's the end of the piece after this bar. So that final bar, we've got a little change. So we still got that 1 and 2 on the bottom rhythm there, between the bass and the snare. So we've got bass, bass, snare. And then for the 3 and 4, so it's the same rhythm, but this time instead of going bass, bass, snare, you play bass, snare, snare. So it's still 1 and 2, 3 and 4, but now we've got bass, bass, snare, bass, snare, snare. Okay, and we're going to play that underneath quavers on the hi-hat for the 1, the 2 and the 3, and then we end on a crotchet on the 4. So the hi-hat rhythm is now 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So it's a crotchet on the 4 rather than quavers. All right, so let's try putting those 2 rhythms together, and we'll try that just that last bar 4 times through, just to get used to that groove. And now we'll try playing that with the third bar of the bottom line, all right? So we're going to try bars 3 and 4 from the bottom line. So that bar we just played, but we're going to put that bar before it as well, all right? Just to get used to putting those two together. And we'll try those two bars, so bars 3 and 4 on the bottom line 4 times through. And now we'll try the whole of the bottom line, all right? So all 4 bars. So we've got the main groove of the guitar solo, then we've got that little change up where we crash for a crotchet on the 4, then we go back to the main groove, and then we've got that little change up where we play the snare on the end of 3, and then we've got crotchet on the 4 with the hi-hat and snare. All right, so let's try the whole of the bottom line in time with the metronome. And now we'll try both lines of the guitar solo, all right? So the bottom 2 lines of the piece in time with the metronome. So we'll put it all together. So we've got a general groove going on. So that main groove of the guitar solo is sort of comes up mainly, and we've got a few changes around it. So we've got some crotchet crashes, and we've also got that little change in the last bar, all right? So let's try the whole guitar solo in time with the metronome. And now we'll try the whole guitar solo in time with the track. Okay, so stay solid. Remember, you're still in forte, so you're forte for the whole of this song. So keep it strong. Let them quavers help you with the timing, all right? So you can really grip hold of those quavers. So they're going to keep the subdivision. Then we can really fit the bass and snare in time with those quavers. Make sure those crashes, you're holding them for crotchets, all right? So don't rush. Really hit them for crotchets. Make sure you're holding them for the whole beat. And then obviously just look out for the bottom line. You've got that crotchet on the 4, on the crash, on the second bar, and you've got that little change up at the end. So the whole band finished together on that 4 on the last bar, right? So it's really important you hit that nice and in time. So really lock in with the other instruments. So really listen to your part and concentrate on your part. Listen to what you're playing, make sure it sounds good, but you've also got to be listening out for the other instruments and making sure you're in time and you're playing at the same level as they are. Okay, so let's try that guitar solo in time with a track.
We will rock you. All right.
So now we can play both sections of the song. We're going to put it all together to play the whole song with the backing track. Okay, so remember, you got that 2-bar counting. You're going to come in strong with your big groove. You're going to bring in that floor tom. Then you're going to play the fill to finish the verse. We come in with the guitar solo section where we're bringing the quavers on the hi-hat. We've got those little changes on the crash where we're playing crotchets. And then we finish all together as a whole band on that crotchet on the last bar of the song, all right? So really enjoy it. It's a great song to play. Like I said, it's a really iconic drum part. So as a drummer, it's a great one to have as part of your repertoire. So spend some time perfecting it. And like I said, the main thing, just enjoy it as you play it because it's a great song. All right, let's give it a go. The whole song all the way through.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise playing in the street. Gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face, kicking your can all over the place, singing, we will rock you. We will rock you. Buddy, you're a young man, hard man, shouting in the street, gonna take on the world someday. You got blood on your face, you big disgrace, waving your banner all over the place. We will rock you. Sing it. We will rock you. All right.
So there you go, song complete. Hope you enjoyed it, and remember, take your time with the parts and practice these parts individually. If you can't play them at song tempo straight off, that doesn't matter at all. Remember that's the target tempo. So if you need to slow it down, take it as slow as you need to go for each part. Really make sure each part sounds good and gradually increase the tempo until you get to that song tempo. Then put it with the music, okay? Don't rush yourself. Spend some time, have patience with all of this. It will come, I assure you. Honestly, just make sure it sounds good. That's the most important bit. All right, so we'll see you in the next lesson.